Caitlin Clark didn't hesitate. Even when a deal reportedly worth 8 figures landed in front of her, the offer came not just with money, but with a global spotlight, brand endorsements, international stardom, and a starring role in China's ambitious bid to reshape women's basketball. For any other athlete, this might have been a career-defining yes. But Clark said no, turning down what could have made her the highest-paid women's basketball player on the planet. This wasn't just a player rejecting a paycheck. It was a defiant move in a high-stakes power game that's putting pressure on the WNBA.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Exposing its limits in the face of global expansion and a rapidly shifting market. Clark's decision lands a challenge to the very structure of the league. The financial gap between her WNBA salary and China's often reveals the imbalance players are forced to navigate: loyalty versus leverage. The WNBA leadership, especially Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, now faces a test of strategy and resolve. Meanwhile, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver is working behind closed doors to bring the league overseas on his own terms, hoping to globalize women's basketball before it globalizes without them. Clark's refusal didn't quiet the storm. It lit the fuse on a broader confrontation over who really controls the future of the sport. Caitlin Clark just turned down an offer that would have made her the highest-paid woman in basketball history, and it wasn't from the WNBA. It was from China. Yeah, you heard that right. Clark, the breakout star everyone's been watching, was reportedly approached with a multi-million-dollar deal to ditch the WNBA entirely and take her talents overseas. But this wasn't just about playing basketball. The offer included massive endorsement opportunities, global branding campaigns, and the kind of international exposure that most athletes only dream about. In short, China wanted to turn Caitlin Clark into the face of a global basketball empire, and they were ready to pay handsomely for it. But she said no, and now the entire basketball world is holding its breath. Let's rewind. Caitlin Clark didn't just arrive in the WNBA. She detonated into it. Ratings spiked. Jersey sales skyrocketed. Ticket demand exploded. From the jump, she wasn't just a promising rookie. She was the main event, and the league knew it. The WNBA had finally gotten what it had been desperately searching for: a marketable superstar with crossover appeal. But while fans were tuning in, something else was happening behind the scenes. See, despite all the hype, Clark's actual WNBA salary? Modest. Shockingly modest. Her rookie contract pays a base salary far below what her global market value suggests. We're talking about someone who single-handedly revitalized interest in the league. And yet, her bank account doesn't reflect that impact. And that's where China comes in. A group of investors, backed by Chinese government-linked initiatives, stepped into an offer designed to be impossible to ignore. They didn't just want Clark to play overseas. They wanted her to lead a new global push for women's basketball in Asia. She'd be the star, the brand ambassador, the face of a movement. We're talking global sponsorships, international campaigns, 8-figure deals. Numbers the WNBA simply couldn't compete with. And here's the kicker. This wasn't some rogue offer. It's all part of a much bigger play. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has been very vocal lately about expanding into international markets, especially China, and not just for the men's game. Silver wants the WNBA to follow the NBA blueprint. Go global. Tap into China's 500 million basketball fans. Sell out arenas in Shanghai and Beijing. Build a global audience, not just an American one. Clark's offer was a glimpse into that vision. But while Silver is busy laying the groundwork for future expansion, Clark was offered a shortcut, a chance to go global now, skip the slow league rollout, and headline the movement herself. And the money on the table? It wasn't just impressive. It was generational. So when news broke that Clark had declined the offer, the WNBA exhaled. For now. Because let's be clear, the offer isn't the issue. The issue is what the offer represents. Clark's rejection didn't kill the threat. It exposed it. What happens when your biggest star realizes she can make more money outside your league? What happens when one offer turns into 5? When other stars start asking the same questions Clark did? The power dynamic is shifting. Fast. It used to be that leagues dictated the terms. Now, it's the players with the leverage. Clark, in particular, has more influence than the WNBA has ever seen in a single player. Her debut boosted ratings, ticket sales, merch, social engagement, you name it. If she walked, the league wouldn't just lose a player. It would lose its biggest growth engine. And the WNBA knows it. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is now under immense pressure. Behind closed doors, the league is scrambling to hold the line, offering media opportunities, brand partnerships, and whatever incentives they can cobble together to keep Clark happy. But none of it changes the cold reality. The league simply cannot match the kind of financial freedom overseas markets are offering. And fans are starting to notice. So are players. If Clark had taken the deal, she would have become the highest paid women's basketball player on earth. She would have made more than some WNBA teams' entire rosters. That disparity doesn't just look bad. It is bad. And it forces the league to answer questions it's been dodging for years. Why aren't players being paid what they're worth? Why is it that a star like Caitlin Clark, whose value is beyond proven, can't earn in the WNBA what overseas markets are offering up front? These aren't hypothetical issues anymore. They're existential. Because if the league can't find a way to compensate its stars, someone else will. And not just with money, with visibility, with infrastructure, with global ambition. All things the WNBA has struggled to scale. Meanwhile, China's playing a long game, one that isn't just about basketball. It's about soft power, global branding, and positioning themselves as the destination for elite talent. This isn't about one player anymore. It's about a crossroads. The WNBA now faces a fundamental dilemma: evolve fast or become irrelevant. Silver knows this. That's why he's trying to turn the league's global problem into a global opportunity. His goal? Bring the WNBA to China before China takes the WNBA stars away. He wants to embed women's basketball into the same global pipeline that turned the NBA into a billion-dollar juggernaut. But time is running out. If Clark had accepted that deal, it could have set a precedent. Others would have followed. And the WNBA's domestic foundation would have started to crack. You can't build a league around stars if those stars can walk away the moment someone else offers what you won't. And let's not ignore what China's trying to do here. This isn't just about sports. It's about dominance. China wants to own the narrative of women's basketball on a global scale. They're investing, building, and marketing like they're already running the show. Bringing in Clark would have been the ultimate power move, a flex that would have sent shockwaves across the basketball world. The fact that she said no is a relief for the WNBA, but not a win, because the next offer might be bigger, or harder to turn down. And the WNBA hasn't solved the underlying problem. It still can't afford to compete. So now what? Does the league adjust its salary cap? Does it find new revenue streams? Does it go all in on global expansion before it's forced to? One thing for sure, this wasn't a one-time scare. This was a warning. Clark's decision may have bought the league some time, but the clock is still ticking. Her influence is only growing, and with it, her options. The WNBA doesn't just need to keep her. It needs to earn her. And every other star watching this play out is taking notes. Because the next Caitlin Clark? She might not say no. The balance of power has shifted. Players aren't just athletes anymore. They're global brands. And they're starting to realize they don't need the league as much as the league needs them. The question is whether the WNBA will embrace that shift or get left behind by it. Thanks for watching. If this story blew your mind, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments, should Caitlin Clark have taken a deal? Or is loyalty to the league still worth something in 2025? Let's be clear. Caitlin Clark didn't just turn down money. She turned down a full-scale career transformation. We're not talking about a few endorsement bonuses and a flashy apartment overseas. We're talking about becoming the centerpiece of a billion-dollar pivot in women's basketball. The people who made her that offer, they weren't playing games. This wasn't some sketchy side league tossing around cash. This was a government-backed, investor-driven, meticulously calculated move by China to plant their flag in women's hoops. And the message was loud. We want you. We want to build around you. We're willing to outbid your entire league to get you. And Clark said, No thanks. For now, that decision might have just saved the WNBA from a full-blown identity crisis. But it also laid bare a fundamental truth. The league is not in control anymore. The myth that stars owe their league some kind of blind loyalty, that died the minute this offer was made public. If a player like Clark, who is undeniably the league's biggest draw, has to weigh staying in the WNBA against a life-changing international offer, something is broken. And everyone knows it. Caitlin Clark's rejection of the deal doesn't make the story less explosive. If anything, it makes the pressure on the WNBA even more intense. Because now the clock is ticking. Every moment she stays is a borrowed one. Unless the league starts acting like it actually wants to keep her. This isn't just about keeping a superstar happy. It's about survival. Because think about what would have happened if she had taken the deal. Let's not sugarcoat it. The WNBA would have spiraled. It's not just about losing a player. It's about losing the player. The one drawing in first-time viewers, filling seats, trending on social media, and dragging the entire league's visibility up with her. If Clark had left, every headline would have been a funeral bell, and it would have been brutal. You don't come back from that kind of exit without consequences. Sponsors would start asking questions. Networks would hesitate. Fans might check out. And other players? They'd be lining up for their own overseas meetings before Clark even landed in Shanghai. Because let's not pretend this was a one-off thing. Clark's not the first WNBA player to get a better offer abroad. And she won't be the last. For years, women in the league have been quietly making most of their real money during the off-season, playing for international teams that pay more, respect more, and frankly, invest more. But this was different. This wasn't about a temporary gig. This was a permanent offer. An exit ramp. A whole new lane. Clark could have been a headliner of a Chinese league with government support, media attention, and deep-pocketed investors eager to break into the global sports scene. And with China's known appetite for basketball and its long-term plan to dominate international sporting events, Clark would have been the crown jewel of their strategy. This wasn't just about her game. It was about her image. China wanted to sell her face on billboards, put her on magazine covers, build a campaign that would reach millions. She wasn't being offered a contract. She was being offered an empire. So why didn't she take it? That's $1 million, or rather, multi-million-dollar question. Maybe it was loyalty. Maybe it was timing. Maybe she still believes in what the WNBA is trying to become. Maybe she wasn't ready to leave home court just yet. But that hesitation, that space between yes and no, that's where the league should be terrified. Because next time, someone else might say yes. And then what? The league has already been walking a tightrope. The salary gap between WNBA players and their NBA counterparts is glaring. And the defense that the league doesn't bring in enough money yet is wearing thin, especially when individual stars like Clark do. She's literally altering the economics of the league in real time. Attendance? Higher. Ratings? Through the roof. Jersey sales? Sold out. Yet her paycheck? Still a fraction of what she's worth. So how long is that sustainable? How long can a league ask someone like Clark to carry this much weight without being properly compensated? The truth is they can't. Not anymore. And the people watching this the closest? Other stars. Because Caitlin Clark just became the unofficial test case for what happens when a WNBA player hits maximum leverage. Everyone from rising rookies to established veterans saw that offer. They saw how far China was willing to go. And they saw what Clark chose not to do. But they also saw what she could have done. And that's the part that won't go away. This isn't just a Clark issue. This is a league issue. A labor issue. A value issue. The WNBA has a decision to make. Evolve or fall behind. Because the world has changed. Players are no longer tethered to one league, one country, or one path to greatness. Global sports are, well, global, and women's basketball? It's no exception. Clark's moment is a symptom of something much bigger. China didn't make that offer because they were being generous. They made it because they see the shift coming. They want to get ahead of the curve. While American leagues are still arguing over revenue sharing and TV deals, China is out here building a new playing field altogether, and they're starting with the players. and Clark was target number one. This could have been a tipping point, a full-on migration of talent, a redefinition of what it means to make it in women's basketball. Instead, it's a warning shot. The WNBA still has time, but not much, because now the entire ecosystem has been exposed. The money's out there, the offers are real, and unless something changes, loyalty won't be enough to hold it all together. Let's not forget, the NBA didn't become a global brand by accident. It took decades of expansion, marketing, international recruitment, and smart partnerships. Adam Silver knows that. That's why he's already talking about bringing the WNBA to China, not just players from the league, but the league itself, because that's the only way to compete. If the WNBA wants to stay in the game, it has to go global on its own terms. It needs to stop reacting to these offers and start preempting them. Build a bigger pie. Share the revenue. Treat its stars like the economic engines they are. Because if they don't, the stars will build something else. Somewhere else. Clark's decision to stay doesn't fix the structural problems. It just delays them. It's a Band-Aid on a broken system. A lucky break, not a strategy. So now the ball is in the WNBA's court. Literally. Are they going to meet this moment or let it pass them by? Because this wasn't just about Caitlin Clark. This was about the future of women's basketball. And that future is global, player-driven, and no longer interested in waiting for slow reform. Here's the part that no one in the WNBA office wants to say out loud. Caitlin Clark's loyalty isn't a guarantee. It's a countdown. Right now, the league is holding on to her like a lifeline. And why wouldn't they? She's the biggest name in the game. She's selling out arenas in cities that haven't cared about women's basketball in years. She's dominating highlight reels, boosting engagement numbers, and giving the league a kind of mainstream spotlight it hasn't had since ever. But all of that momentum, it's balanced on a tightrope held up by one decision, her decision. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If she changed her mind tomorrow, could anyone really blame her? Because no matter how many times the WNBA posts her highlights, or how many commemorative jerseys they drop, they still haven't solved the issue that sparked this whole drama. The money isn't matching the impact. She's putting up MVP-level performances and moving the cultural needle. And yet her contract looks more like a corporate entry-level job than the salary of the sport's most marketable figure. Meanwhile, overseas leagues are watching the situation unfold like it's Shark Tank, waiting to swoop in with better offers, bigger checks, and fewer excuses. And it's not just about Clark anymore. This whole debacle has opened the floodgates. Players are now aware that there are markets willing to treat them like stars now, not years from now. They've seen the receipts. The idea that you have to grind it out for years before seeing real money, that myth is done. That old model of waiting for the league to catch up with your value is cracking under its own weight. This is the first time in a long time where a women's league has to respond to actual market pressure. And it's not just a financial pressure. It's cultural. It's reputational. The WNBA has spent years positioning itself as progressive, player-first, and committed to growth. But how does that mission statement hold up when your most valuable player has to turn down generational wealth just to stay in your system? That's not empowerment. That's entrapment dressed up as brand loyalty. And while the league scrambles to reassure sponsors, fans, and Clark herself, you know who's quietly watching from the corner? China. Because let's be honest, they're not just looking at Caitlin Clark. They're building a whole playbook. She was step one. If they could have landed her, they have sent a message to every major women's player. The global game has moved. No more waiting on American leagues to figure out how to value you. No more nickel and dime treatment. Just come here. Be the face of $1 billion pivot. And get paid. They didn't get her this time, but they got something almost as valuable. Intel. Now, they know what it'll take next time. Maybe it's not just money. Maybe it's creative control. Maybe it's partial ownership. Maybe it's freedom from restrictive league policies or travel limitations. Whatever it is, they're already working on it. And what's the WNBA doing? Holding press conferences, floating vague ideas about expansion, talking about growing the game, while their biggest star can make more hosting basketball clinics in Asia than playing an entire season stateside. And don't get it twisted, this isn't a hit piece on the WNBA. It's a reality check. The league has done a lot right. The game itself has never looked better. The talent pool is deeper than ever. Fans are finally waking up to the fact that women's basketball is real basketball. And Clark didn't create that movement. She amplified it. But star power comes with clock. You don't get unlimited chances to get this right. What happens next time when the offer isn't from China, but from Dubai, or a private league backed by billionaires with zero budget caps and a global streaming deal? Because let's be honest, that's coming. Caitlin Clark just showed the world what's possible. And that possibility, it's contagious. It's not just a threat. It's an opportunity for other countries, other leagues, other investors. And for players, it's leverage like they've never had before. The WNBA still has a chance to adapt, but it has to happen fast. That means rethinking contracts, opening up ownership options, pushing the league toward real international integration, not just press releases and pilot programs, but actual boots-on-the-ground expansion. Because here's the irony. The thing they're most afraid of, players leaving, is actually the thing that could save them if they stop fighting it and start embracing it. Want to keep Caitlin Clark? Don't beg her to stay. Build her a league she doesn't want to leave. That's the only answer that works. The rest? The PR spin, the social media love, the calls for patience. None of it pays her what she's worth. And if she decides one day that the league just isn't moving fast enough, she won't need to explain. She'll just go, and fans will follow. Because that's the real headline no one's ready for. The fans aren't loyal to the league. They're loyal to the stars. If Caitlin Clark moves to an overseas league, she's not going alone. Her supporters will live stream games at 3 a.m. They'll buy jerseys from international retailers. They'll meme her dunks no matter what country she's in. The WNBA isn't holding the cards anymore. It's reacting to them. And Caitlin? She's now in a position most athletes only dream of. She's not just the face of the league. She's the face of a movement. And her decisions, where she plays, how she gets paid, what she says yes to, are shaping the entire future of women's basketball in real time. So when she turned down that China offer, it wasn't a sign of contentment. It was a power move. She's telling the league, you still have my loyalty for now, but don't get comfortable. And the league shouldn't, because the next offer won't come with hesitation. It'll come with a blank check and a vision too good to refuse. And if the WNBA still hasn't figured out how to make the numbers work, how to keep up with the global market, then they're not just at risk of losing Clark. They're at risk of losing everything she brought with her. Thanks for sticking through the madness. If this saga has you yelling at your screen, smash that like button, share the drama, and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. And drop a comment. Should Clark keep holding out hope for the league or finally cashing overseas? Let's hear it.